Sup guys, welcome to another video. I have been requested to make an upgrade for the Battlefield Game Mode series because someone wants me to make the teams infinite, or rather like 4 teams, not only 2. So I don't think I'm gonna make them infinite because the way that I set up the code, I set up for an actual number of teams. I've been taking a look at it, but I can easily make it for you can add an infinite number of teams. Like if you want 5, you can add 5. If you want 10, you can add 10. And I'm gonna start by going into the third-person character. And by the way, I'm using the project, the Battlefield game modes that I was using in the previous videos. So I'm gonna be modifying that code. And if you come into the character, you're gonna see that we have our numpads here, that we can press the number 1, number 2 to assign our own team. So I'm gonna set up an example of 4 teams, but you can make this for 5 or 10 or whatever the number you want. So I'm gonna go and add 3 and the 4. And when you add new teams, you just come over here and add more keyboards, or if you are using a menu, you add more buttons for calling this function. And it's just as simple as duplicate it and change these numbers over here. So we can test this out right away. And you can see if I play and I click 4, I am not team 3. So that's pretty simple. But now for the actual a little bit more harder part, I'm gonna go inside the flag base and control point. I'm gonna be changing for both the capture the flag and the conquest game mode. So using both these blueprints. If you created them on the same place as me, they should be in the third person BP blueprints, and it should be these two. You can open them up. I'm gonna change the capture the flag first. So as you saw, let me see. I am using variables over here that are, let me see, where is it? I want to give the example. Actually, let me just test something out, because I think the capture the flag, it's the flag base, okay. So I'm gonna create 4 of them. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna test this out, because I may think that the code for capture the flag might work for already 4 teams. So let me play. Oh, I need to change the values over here. So if I see this, this is owner team 0, owner team 1. I'm gonna make this team 2 and team 3. So I'm gonna assign myself to team 0. And I'm going to assign another person. Can be this guy. That'll just happen. Sorry about that. I'm going to assign this guy to be, I don't know, team 2. There you go. Team 2 should be this flag over here. So let's see, if I go to this guy and I go into the flag number 2, there you go, flag is stolen. And if I go back to my base, boom, score 1. Wait, but okay, there you go. That's the problem that I gotta solve, because I am getting the reference of the control points, and they're kind of static, and I can't do that. So let's see the logic over here. And now it has to do with the reset flag. That is, basically we are picking an enemy flag base, And this variable over here is the problem, because this variable over here, it only references one of the enemy flag bases. So we're basically getting a solid reference to it, and we can't do that. So what I'm going to do is, let me see, I need first of all go into my third person character, and I need to find where I store that variable, and that is made over here. So this is the update info. We are basically updating which flag it is. So basically, let me see if I remember. Okay, so we're updating info 4 times a second, and I do not want to do that. This enemy flag base cannot be set this way, so let me delete that. We can leave the my flag base. We're gonna have to set the enemy flag base using another way. So I'm gonna set up a custom event called server underscore set enemy flag base. I'm gonna run it on the server, and then I'm just gonna drag it up into the graph and set it, and drag the input to create an output over in the event. And now we're gonna set this when we actually capture the flag. So let's see, if we do not have a flag, or if this is different from our own team, we're gonna pick up the flag, and when we pick up the flag, we're gonna do a server. No, we need to drag from the player, I apologize. We need to do a server set enemy flag base. There you go. And this enemy flag base is gonna have to be dragged from it into a self, and now we can test this out. So we're no longer getting a static reference from one of the bases, we're actually getting this reference from the one that we steal the flag from. So that should hopefully work. So let's go over here, just separate these, make this a team 0, make this, I guess, team 3. Team 3 is that flag. So let's go over here. It says that the flag is stolen, as you can see. If I go into my base, now I have a point, and you can see over here that the flag is safe. So that's basically it. The logic for the capture the flag is actually simple to do for multiple teams. Now the only thing that you need to do, again, as I said, if you want to add more players, just add more numbers or more buttons in the widget or whatever, and call this event and change these teams. And that's basically everything you have to do for capture the flag. So I'm going to close that up, and I'm going to delete the flag points from the map. Now for the control points, now I think that's going to be a little bit more harder to make, so let's just drag 4 into the level. This point name, let me see, can be right drag left this one is going to be bottom, and this one can be literally whatever. So there you go. So the controller is going to be -1, the radius is going to be 256, that doesn't matter, the control change piece doesn't matter as well. Now let's take a look at the code in our control points. Excuse me. So the control points technically should work. No, it doesn't, because we have this team 0 and team 1 numbers, and we cannot use these just for 2 teams. So instead of doing this, let's just Let's drag from over here and create a new output into the event. Let's just name that the owner team. So whatever is adding points, we instead of adding to a specific team, we're just going to no, that doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah, it doesn't make any sense. No, sorry. It's gonna be a bit harder because the logic that I'm changing, basically, this team 0 num and team 1 is basically the value of that team itself. So it's gonna be a bit more hard to add more teams, but it should work. Just delete this output. We not gonna need it. Let's leave this team 1 num anyway. Okay, this might not be the most effective way, but it will surely work. Let's create some space in between. So just pay attention to what I'm gonna about to say, because it's gonna be I think the simplest way to do this right now. God damn it, I need to select this. Just this, there you go. Just create some space. So the way that I'm gonna do this is basically I'm gonna be duplicating this for each team amount. So if over here in the third person character I have 4 teams, in the control point I'm gonna do 4 add count teams. So I already have 2, I'm gonna have to create more 2. If on your game you have 10, you're gonna have to create 10 of these, 10 functions like this. So I'm just gonna Control C, Control V. I'm gonna just copy and paste the name of the event, but I'm gonna say that this is going to be team 2, and I'm going to duplicate this variable as well and just call it team 2 num and drag it up, and let's just hold control and drag left mouse button to reconnect the nodes, and you can delete that. And these setters as well, you're gonna need to change that up. So set, doing the same thing. And now you can delete both of these like that. So now I'm just gonna duplicate this one more time using the same system. So I'm just gonna pause to not waste video time. Okay, so now that I have 4 of these events, now I'm gonna have to go over here and call these, and we're gonna have to add a little bit more branches than this. So let's hold B and click over here. There you go. Drag the false into the new branch, and basically create a new equal sign, and do this is equal to 1. Drag that up, create a new branch, do a does it equal to 2, and add this, and now you just call the events on the true. So the team 1 is going to be, if it's equal to 1, let's call server add count to team 2. Oh, I forget, don't forget to enable replication on these events, otherwise they won't work on the multiplayer side of things. And now, because this is the last one, you can just call this from the false. So if it's not equal team 0, team 1, or team 2, you're just gonna do server add team 3 is entering. And now we need to do the exact same thing over here. So I'm just going to duplicate this. So let me just, I'm gonna drag all of these over here. I'm gonna Control C, gonna delete these, Control V, and paste this. Just don't forget to connect the integers. God damn it, my mouse is freaking out. I know this is probably not the way that you were expecting. It's not certainly not very uh, I don't know how to say it like quick if you wanna like add a lot of teams, but you know this it certainly works, and I don't see like you having like 20 teams, so you know it's not that hard to do, and if you think about the number of teams that you want before you do most of this code, it's not gonna be that difficult. So done all of this. Let me just recheck the code. Now I think we also gonna need to change the set current control because we are only using both of these. So I actually think actually we don't need to do more of these. We need to make let me see. The thing about Conquest that we think about Battlefield is that the actual code that they run is like this. So a team controls the flag if the control is 0%, and like they go minus one team and the other one adds up. So if the other one reaches the 100th part, they're gonna start the control for other team. That's why there's not like Conquest flags for a lot of teams, because then it becomes a little bit confusing. Because now um, how do I define, like if there are four different teams on the same flag that are trying to conquer it, now how do I define the number? Like one is gonna add up, one is going to subtract, and then the others I don't know how to do really. I'm just trying to think of a way. What I can do is give up on this idea of incrementing the values of the base, and like more set the control of the flag for which team has more players in it. That would certainly be much better. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So let's just delete all of this. We're not gonna use it. We are just going to do the code as a branch, and let's see. So team 0, is this bigger? So get the bigger sign as team 1. Then if it's true, the controller is going to be set to 0. Then we're going to drag another branch. Let's just duplicate this code. And now instead of searching for instead of team 0, we're going to get is team 2 bigger than team 0? And if it's true, then we're gonna set the controller to team 2. And let's add another branch. Control C, Control V, and let's now compare the number of players in team 3. I guess. Ooh, okay. I'm already watching, instead of being wasting time, I've just clocked the math error over here. So I'm just gonna pause the video instead of, trial and error on video. It wastes a lot of time. I'm just gonna see the correct way to do this, and then I'll resume the video. Okay, so I just found the correct way to do this. I was doing the wrong thing. So what I did, I actually found a node called max of int array. So you can right click and just do max of int array. It's this one. And then drag from the little array sign and just type make array. Now this is very simple. This is going to take an array of integers and it's going to get me the highest value. So basically we want to find out which team has the highest number of players in the control point. And then it's going to return us the index of the max value over in the list and which max value it is. So it's just going to use that to do our teams. So let's create 4 pins and just drag these values in. There you go. Now we're gonna need to do the same thing that we're doing. So do a branch. Come on. There you go. Let's connect these up. But now the math is not gonna be wrong because now we actually get the max values. So we're gonna get actually we don't need this. Let's just drag and set the controller. And let's set the controller to the index of max value because team 0 is array 0, team 1 is array 1. So we can just get index of max value and set that up to the controller. And now I think I'm going to need to go to our HUD because I had some logic in there to find out which one was the controller of the point. So there you go. You can see we need to change this. So let's just delete all of this. Boom. And let's drag and append. Then let's just say the controller, 2 points, team, a space, and then just drag the controller. And then that's set the output, and I just forgot the name of this, but I deleted it. There you go, add a return node. God damn it. Okay, let me just go into another text to get that. There you go, this is what I want. Get back and paste this. Drag these valid. Come on. My mouse is freaking out, I don't know why. And do that. There you go. Now it hopefully should work with the 4 players. So let me just set this up to team 1 and set this guy to team 2. So I'm gonna go over into this control point and it's gonna say that the controller is team 2. Now if I go over here, it's gonna say it's team 0. Oh, let me just okay, now we're gonna have a problem because if there are the same number of players we need to make the base neutral. How can I do that? Now I need to figure out a way of knowing if one of these is equal. Because it's just returning me the last one that entered. What I'm going to do, I'm going to set the base to be neutral if it is contested. That way, imagine that you're playing the game and 2 players enter the base and start fighting. to control it. If one dies, then one of the players is going to be left alive, and then that base is going to be his. But if there is an entire squad of them, the fight is going to fight out. The squad that dies, and the team kills all the players of the enemy team inside that base, the base is going to become theirs. While there is fighting inside, I'm going to make the base neutral, so no one can spawn there. So I think that's going to be the better way to do this. So instead of setting the controller right away, I'm going to check if this max of int array is bigger than 0, let's create a branch. This means that there is a player inside the base. And now we're going to need to check, well, is that player alone? Or is that number of players of the same team? So I'm going to check if the index of max value see, this is going to come up with a problem. Let's just try it. So if this is bigger than 0, means it is contested. So if it's false, we're going to set the controller. If it's true, we're going to set the controller to -1, meaning it's neutral. But now we're going to have a problem, since if there is one player of a team, even if he's alone, this is going to be bigger than 0 anyway. And that's going to create a problem. Yep, that's going to give us a problem. You know what? Again, I'm just going to pause and figure it out. Okay, so I think I figured out a way, but we're going to need a new variable to do this. So just go over into the variables and create a variable. Let's just duplicate from one of these. And just name it number of players in base. Remember to replicate it and make it 0. And over here, just drag this up into the graph, get, drag an equal, and drag the max value into that equal, drag that into the branch, and then set the controller to the index of max value if it's true. If it's false, set the controller to -1. And this means if the number of players in base are equal to the max value, that means that only the players that control the base are in there. And if it's false, that means that there are more people inside than the ones, you know, of the biggest number there, so the team that is winning. But then that means that there is fighting inside the base, so he's going to set it to neutral. But now we're going to need to set this number of players in base. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new custom event. Not call, create a new one. Server underscore add player to count. And it's just going to be on the server, reliable, get the number of players in base, add a -1, integer plus integer, plus, not minus, sorry, and then set the number of players in base to that new number. Then we're going to need to do another custom event to server, remove player from count. And it's basically the same thing but with a minus. So let's just copy and paste this. And let's delete the plus and add a minus. Integer minus integer. Do that, and the place that we're going to call this, it's going to be over here in the component begin overlap. So on the begin overlap, we can do it actually before the branch. After the set, call server, add player to count. Let's go back here in the same place, server, remove player from count. Okay, there you go. And now, hopefully, it should work as intended. So let's play. Let's have 3 windows at least over here. Let's get this one assigned to team 1. Get this one assigned to team... team 0, team 1, and team 2. Let's get our team 0 and go over here into this base. We can see that the controller team is 0. If we go with this guy over here, it's team -1, and if we go with this guy, it should be team -1 as well. But now if we leave, if this guy leaves and this guy leaves, the controller team is going to be 0. If we go over here, still -1, but if we leave this guy, it will be back to team 2. And if we go up, it's going to be team 2. And yeah, I believe that that's it. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Yeah, I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I think that the base is resetting to default value 0. Why is that? It's because of this. We are setting this to so when the max value is 0 and the number of player is 0, this becomes true, and the controller becomes the index of max value, which is going to be 0. So let's add another branch before we actually set the controller, to just make sure that the number of players in base is bigger than 1. So just add a branch with a bigger or bigger or equal than 1. And let's do the same thing, set it to -1 just to be sure. So Alt B and click. Come on, there you go. Do the same thing and connect that to that boolean. And now it should no longer do that. So now let's test something a little bit different. Let's actually add 2 players to team 0 and 1 to team 1. Let's go over here. It says that it's controlled by team 1. We leave and it's not flipping back to team 0. Now let's go with team 0 over here. So it becomes team 0, team -1, so it's neutral. If we go back with another team 0, it's still neutral. And if we leave with our team 1, it becomes team 0. And if we leave, it's still team 0. And if we leave, it's gonna stay as team 0 until if we go back in with the team 1, it's gonna become team 1. And yeah, so that's it. I'm sorry about now there is no time for conquest, but I don't think with the system of like so many teams, I don't think it's actually needed, because we can actually do that with so many teams, at least not in a way that I know of, like to add control over time with more than 2 teams, because that math didn't work. So I created this way. Hopefully this will be good enough for you guys that were looking forward to this. I'm sorry about it's been a little bit confusing over here in the video, but it's not as easy as it seems. But it does the job. You have now captured the flag and conquest for as many teams as you like. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Go over to the Discord server if you have any requests for tutorials, as well as you can talk to me if you want to. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.